Daddy, look, I can do telekinesis.
Hey, how do you do? I'm back. I'm back in the room with the good books and the room with the good book. Also, I've got at least one copy of the good book and a lot of other good books. The good room with the good books, however that works, I do not know. Today I've got in the mailbox some pretty neat stuff. I've got one order from Gauntlet Press, one of my favorite and longest collecting tenure of whatever. I've been collecting Gauntlet Press books for over 20 years. Probably 2000 was when I bought my first Gauntlet Press book. I think I bought it on eBay. Some of them I got from Gauntlet, some of them I bought on the secondary market. But I like Gauntlet because in the beginning I found out about them. They started publishing F. Paul Wilson's Repairman Jack books, they started publishing with Conspiracies was the first one, 1999, and they went all the way through and on to the end. They redid Legacies, but anyway, I've got F. Paul Wilson books from Gauntlet. I've got a couple from David Morrell from Gauntlet. I've got Joe Lansdale. I've got Richard Matheson. In fact, I Am Legend. I talked about that in a different video. Hell House. I've got a lot of great authors with Gauntlet, and today I'm going to be opening up my first Ray Bradbury book from Gauntlet Press. So we're going to see, we're going to get into that. We're going to see that. I also just happened to get in a box from eBay seller, Folio Society, a copy of Rogue Mail by Geoffrey Household. That's a book that I read probably 19 or 20 years ago. I haven't read it since, so it's a little bit foggy, maybe in the brain, the complete story. But we'll see that. We'll talk a little bit about them, the little bit I know. I haven't read either of the books from Gauntlet. I just kind of know what's in them. So we'll see. Gauntlet Press, I got 2 books in here. Pretty good sized box, heavy. Feels like there's a little padding, so we'll hope for the best. I like Gauntlet because of the authors and the titles that they publish. They've got usually good looking artwork. Some are not so great and some are pretty awesome. I think The Haunted Air by F. Paul Wilson may be one of the coolest looking dust jackets out there. I mean, great looking artwork, signed and limited books, and that's the kind of stuff I like. So right off the bat, I'm going to take a look at this Gauntlet order, and I'm really excited. Like I said, I got a Ray Bradbury's signed and limited edition, as well as one from Richard Matheson, 2 phenomenal, legendary authors who are no longer with us. Both of the books are supposed to be signed. Both of the books I decided I wanted. I went and looked on the secondary market, couldn't find a price that I liked, and somehow a light bulb went off in the head, and I checked Gauntlet's website, and they had these books in stock. One of them, I can't remember which one. One of them is from 2006, I believe. So they're neat publishings that don't necessarily have the big famous books by the author in them, but they're important works. And we'll see what we got, and we'll talk about what I know about them, and hope for the best. I said the packaging looked good at first glance, and the friendly neighborhood mail lady seems to have taken care of me along with her co-workers, because maybe I'll figure out how to open this box. I don't know. But she seemed to take care of me because the box isn't bashed or smashed, dented, skinted, beat, or any of that kind of stuff. And all I got to do is figure out how to open it with my buck knife. And here we go. Voila. So I opened the box, and I've got 2 books. There's a couple of pad bubble gimmicks. My youngest son Roman, loves to bust these things. He'll jump on them and they sound like a 22 shot firing off. So I'll save those for Roman. But I don't really like it There's no bubble mail or wrapping anything around these books. They're sliding around in a box with only a little bit of padding to cushion them. And it looks like I got lucky. I don't see stuff beat up. My corners aren't beaten. When you don't protect books well, a lot of times those corners will get beaten as the book slides around in the box. It gets cock-wangled and wang-dangled, and you end up with some busted corners. And I've had some sad, sweet books come in the mail that looked perfect when they shipped them, and they looked like crap when I got them. And I don't want to sound like a jerk, but when you ship stuff, you're responsible for getting it to the buyer in the condition that it was sent. That's your part of your job of selling a book. And some people do a great job, some people don't. I've shown another video where I got some busted up books. Very disappointing, and it makes everything bad. Then I got to go back to the publisher and complain, and I hate complaining. I like to be a nice guy. You got to complain, and then they have to seem like they got to make an excuse why it was busted up when you got it. Blame it on the post office. It's all their fault. And then they get around to getting you a new book, and it's just a pain in the butt. Nobody wants to deal with that. But anyway, it looks like the first book that I got that we'll talk about here, the first one that I opened that we'll talk about here is called Match to Flame. You can see the spine under the shrink wrap. I can't see it very well. Match to Flame. And it's got artwork wrapping all the way around. There's the front. And then here's the back. That's what we get. Now I'll go ahead and open this one up because shrink wrap. Who wants to keep a book in shrink wrap? Especially when the Joker's supposed to be signed by the author. Let's see what I can do with the shrink wrap here. I know somebody who can fix it if I can't. Let's be very careful, Mr. Buck Knife. Tear that shrink wrap and don't mess up anything important. I at least want to see the book before I mess it up. And this one's neat. Match to Flame, while I fiddle with this shrink wrap here. Match to Flame is an important book. Gauntlet Press put together a bunch of short stories, but it's a book with a theme. They didn't just pick 15 short stories. They picked, or however many, I don't know how many there are. I didn't count. There's quite a few. But they picked stories that, in essence, led to Fahrenheit 451. And if you've read Ray Bradbury, then you've probably read Fahrenheit 451. It's got to be his most famous, most talked about, most read book. One of his most popular books also. And I loved it. Fahrenheit 451 for me was a lot of things in a book. It was a bit of a survival story. That rogue person who's not he thinks for himself. He doesn't fit in with the group, and he starts realizing the problems with the group think and the lack of rationality in what the group is being led and how they're being led, manipulated, controlled, and stuff like that. So regardless of your politics, you can probably identify with some of that stuff, that lack of logic and rationality with people just going along with how they're being led. It was scary in a way how spot on some of the lines in there are with our societies. How he would talk about it's hard to reprogram kids because they go home to their parents and they get the bad, faulty information from their parents. So we got to get them in schools earlier so we can push our agenda, whatever that may be, onto these kids for the next. So as they become the next generation, they are what we want them to be. And then beyond that, you have a person going off on a survival mission of sorts. And then he finds folks that are like-minded, and they go on about their goals and their plans. And so the book seems to revolve around book burning, but it also covers a lot of stuff like individual thought and things like that. Anyway, Match to Flame contains a lot of the things that would end up leading to Fahrenheit 451, including the story The Fireman, which is basically Fahrenheit 451 before Fahrenheit 451. Short story. Gauntlet describes it as a novella. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's a very short, condensed story that was expanded into Fahrenheit 451, and that's included in here. So our Match to a Flame limited edition. Here we got what we got. I showed you the dust jacket already. Let's take it off and see. One of the things I've noticed over the years is with Gauntlet, they've been around a long time, their covers, bindings have changed a lot over time, and they went through phases. I got my favorite phases, and this one I like. It's got the, I guess, the capital G. You see their logo changed a little bit also. But nice cover, nice boards. Mine's in good condition. We'll open up the front page and we see right here, Fahrenheit 451, because that's the theme of this book. That's the theme of this book, basically developing Fahrenheit 451, an iconic story. And on our signature page here, I got copy number 453 of 750 copies, signed in person by a legend, a person I would love to meet, but it's too late for that. Ray Bradbury has passed on. Never got to meet him, never got to get a book signed by him, but his legacy continues on. So Gauntlet as a whole doesn't typically put a bunch of art throughout the book. So you got your cover, you got your end papers, you got your signature page, and you got your book. But let's take a look here and see. In the table of contents, maybe you'll recognize some of these stories. I recommend you get on the horn with Gauntlet, get you one of these coming your way. Published in 2006. Gauntlet Publications. The dedication's kind of neat. It says here, teachers are to inspire, libraries are to fulfill. Therefore, this book is dedicated to the incredible librarians of the world. Ray Bradbury. Nice. So our table of contents here, we got a lot of stories, and the preface, the foreword by Richard Matheson. Introduction by William Taponce. Textual essay by Jonathan Eller. And then we got a variety of stories. The Reincarnate, Pillar of Fire, The Library, Bright Phoenix, you may have heard of some of these. Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright, The Mad Wizards of Mars, Carnival of Madness, The Mechanical Hound, Bonfire, Ancillary Correspondence, Bonfire, then it says facsimile beside it. Whatever that means, I do not know, but we'll find out. I'll find out, and you'll find out if you buy one and look yourself. I'm not going to go page by page in this. The Cricket of the Hearth, Cricket of the Hearth facsimile, The Pedestrian, The Garbage Collector, The Smile, Where Ignorant Armies Clash by Night, commentary by Don Albright, Long After Midnight, and then finally The Fireman, starting on page 415. Page 415 for Fahrenheit 451. So just doing some math here. Fahrenheit, or page 415, it starts, and The Fireman ends in this book on page 484. So 484 minus 415, if I do math, I would figure out how many pages The Fireman is. So novella, short story, I don't know what you call it, but I'm excited. I've never actually read The Fireman. I've read Fahrenheit 451 and loved it. Next up, I got a great big book here. What it is, I don't know. Let's see. Richard Matheson. I like Richard Matheson. I like Ray Bradbury. I like signed limited edition books. And this one is a biggin. A great biggin. Maybe one of the biggest of the biggins that I got here. And this is Duel and the Distributor. Edited by William R. Bradley. There's our cover. There's our spine in the shrink wraps. What a great big book. Now let's see if I can get this one off without much of that stuff they call ado. I don't like ado, especially when I go outside in the morning and I got to do all over the grass. I got to do all over the windshield, the mirrors, and I got to go to work. Ain't nobody got time for that. And so we get rid of that ado, or at least have as little of that ado as possible. Makes things easier. Now, I'm a big fan of Richard Matheson. I did one of these here YouTube videos of I Am Legend, showing off the different editions of I Am Legend that I have. Even one of them had Will Smith on the cover. Somebody didn't like that. It read good, but yeah, the Will Smith movie wasn't exactly I Am Legend. I don't think so. Not a bad movie, though. Just wasn't I Am Legend, but I'm glad it came out. Let's take off our dust jacket for this great big book. And we got a black leatherish book. I don't know. I don't want to say leather, but it might be leather. Duel and the Distributor. Looks good to me. I like the way this book looks, but dust jackets are sweet. Very white end papers. Our signature page, Duel, the Distributor, original stories and screenplay adaptations by Richard Matheson. The signed number edition is limited to 500 copies, and this is number... What number is it? I don't know. I'll pick a number. What number should I pick? Anyway, I don't see it, so I guess I get to choose. What's my favorite number? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we'll see. But if you've heard of Duel, it might be because you saw a movie, a Steven Spielberg movie called Duel, and I saw the movie. I didn't read the story that it's based upon, but I saw the movie. And I like the movie. Basically, you got a regular old fella driving in a car, and somehow or other, whether he did it or whether he was just wrong place, wrong time, he made a truck driver very mad, and the truck driver on a road rage bender was after him, on him. He couldn't really get away from the truck. He didn't have the power, and the truck tormented and tortured him, and that's what you got. You got a horror story and a suspense story built around road rage, and I think we can all maybe identify with that. So our table of contents, we got Duel, the foreword by Matthew R. Bradley, Duel, the short story by Richard Matheson, Duel, the script by Richard Matheson. We also have The Duelist, which is an interview with Dennis Weaver by Matthew R. Bradley. Duel and Afterword by Richard Matheson. Duel Photo Gallery, cool. We got a Playboy cover from 1971 and a Playboy cover from 1958. The Distributor, the short story by Richard Matheson. The Distributor, the script by Richard Matheson. An Afterword by Bradley and an Afterword by Matheson. That's a mouthful. Here's our Playboy cover. It says, Richard Matheson's short story Duel was published for the first time in this 1971 issue of Playboy. Maybe that's why there's a Playboy cover in here. So, what we've got is a couple of short stories, as well as scripts for the movies. A nice condition. This is cool. Glad to have it. I need to figure out what number mine's going to be. I'm assuming what that is I'm assuming PC copies, probably what I ended up with here. Some publishers have done both, but typically a publisher, when they run out of their limited edition stock, what's left, if they decide to sell it, they'll mark PC in the number column, and they'll sell it or give it away or what have you. And they'll make publisher copies. Typically, if I order 500 books and I'm going to sell it as limited editions of 500, and I have 6 of them that get messed up, well, those customers are going to want replacements. So if I have extras, I can write in the number that I sent to that customer and send it on their way. I can also use those books, give the author a copy. I don't want to give him one of the 500 because that's customers that won't have one of the 500. So I give him one that's a publisher copy, give other people, artists, people that write forewords, afterwords, all that kind of stuff, give them away. And what would often happen with some publishers is instead of writing PC in the blank, they just leave the blank blank. and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but it does leave a little room for chicanery. I'll bet there's quite a few number ones out there that weren't actually number ones. Somebody got one with a blank number line. They put a 1 on it, and they sold, hey, number 1 of 500, and somebody paid a little extra premium for it on the secondary market. So these go on my shelves. I don't got anybody to impress, anybody to fool, anybody to trick. So a blank is a blank, and that's cool. A neat book by Richard Matheson. A neat addition to the collection of Richard Matheson. And anyway, we're getting some more ado, and I still got Geoffrey Household in the Folio Society. This was an eBay purchase. Now, I said I read Rogue Mail. It was probably 02 when I read Rogue Mail, so 19, maybe 20 years ago. I don't remember exactly when. And it was just random chatter. Somebody saying, hey, Rogue Mail. And I always liked the word rogue. And I'm a male, so hey, sound good. Read book. So I went to the local library there in Kansas City, checked out Rogue Mail, and I really liked it. What we're talking about with Rogue Mail, without spending all day, and like I said, it's been a long time since I read it. There was actually a movie with Peter O'Toole starred in the movie, and the movie was pretty good too. I saw it shortly after reading the book, so either way, they're both foggy. I don't remember that well. But essentially, you have a guy who says he's out hunting, and he looks down. Here's some people talking. He looks down his scope, and there is a European leader. I always got the impression it was Hitler, so maybe it was Hitler, maybe it was not. I don't think it specifically says a name, but in his scope on his rifle, he's looking at what I thought was Hitler. And he's looking at him through the scope, and he doesn't pull the trigger, but he gets caught. They see him pointing a rifle at their leader. And so they're off. They're after him. They catch him. They torture him. He swears, hey, I was hunting. I heard a commotion. I wanted to see what was going on, so I was using my scope to get a better view. I wasn't going to do anything, naturally. They don't believe that stuff, but he's able to escape, and he's on the lam in the wilds. He's a Londoner. I think it was London. And he goes back to London, but there's no safe haven in any big cities because the European leader is reaching out to get him there. He's not safe there, so he's trying to survive. And I won't spoil it, probably because my memory is foggy anyway. But at some point in the book, he makes an admission. I'll just say he makes an admission, and he had been in denial. Anyway, great story. I loved it, and I wanted to get a good copy of it. And as far as signed and limited editions, well, limited editions, we're not going to be signed. They weren't doing that kind of stuff back then. Geoffrey Household, as far as I know, there's no signed limited editions of this book. But the Folio Society, and I like the Folio Society. They got some neat looking stuff. I've got a few of them up here. I don't have a bunch, maybe 10, 11 Folio Society books. The books they publish that I like, I go get. But for every book they publish that I like, they probably publish 40 or 50 of them that I don't really want. Not to say anything bad about them. I like what I like, and a lot of people like a lot of stuff I don't like. They make a bunch of books. They've got books for everybody, including books for me. So thanks, Folio Society. I dig it, and I'm in. I'm a customer. This one here, I don't remember the seller's name on eBay. I guess it doesn't matter. But here is our Rogue Mail in the slipcase, and at first glance, it looks perfect. I like it. But anyway, this there's very few special edition, neat editions, what have you, of this book. And quite frankly, it's a book that is beloved, but it's not super well known. A lot of avid readers never heard of Geoffrey Household, never heard of Rogue Mail. I never heard of it until I heard of it. Somebody somewhere said, oh, you like that? You ought to read Rogue Mail. And there we go. So Folio Society, they will often have multiple multiple editions of a book, and usually they'll say in here. So let's see which edition I got. There's some of our artwork and a title page. The Folio Society, London, 2013, with an introduction by John Banville and illustrations by David Rooney. Good job, David Rooney. I see some pretty cool illustrations. I really love the cover. It is basic, it is simple, and it helps tell the story, as well as this, well, it's gone now. I cannot see anything that refers to edition of this book, so I'll just go with first edition from the Folio Society. It's not really a first edition. This is a very old story. Rogue Mail was originally written. Let's see if the Folio Society can fill in the blank for us. It was originally written Geoffrey household, 1939. So I think this is a story from 1939. Who was a leader of Germany in 1939, and what was our political climate like? I'm not an expert, but it could help tell the story of why somebody would be pointing a rifle at Hitler, and perhaps why Hitler would still be able to have influence in London to get somebody and get him out of London. Anyway, there's my unboxing, my book haul. We went way too long. Sorry. I'm sorry. If you don't like it, send me, call me up. You don't like it, call me up. Tell me all about it, and I'll apologize in person. You want to talk, we'll meet at the Zaxby's. You can buy me one of them signature chicken sandwiches, and we'll be good to go. And I can't think of anything else. So without further ado, c'est la vie, baby.